Right, it is 3:07 and our green light is on up there, so I think we will go ahead. We are missing two members. One is our newest member, Laura Four, and Fred Gamble is not here. So hopefully they will be joining us. Welcome to Crystal as our newest member. Glad to have you. Appreciate your being here. And good afternoon to everyone else. So, uh, we don't have Keisha though, do we?
No, she's out.
She's out. All right. Well, I'm assuming we don't have any visitors or citizens, right? Julie, you're kind of,
We're gonna wing it on the minutes.
okay,
because
that's all right.
It's not really my role, but.
That's
maybe
okay.
1 + 1, I'm not sure.
That's okay.
I'm not sure on that.
All right.
We're gonna try.
We need to take a look at the minutes, and I believe you have them. I don't think are they in front of us?
No.
They're not in front of us. They were in the packet.
They were in the packet that we were sent, yes. Did you all have a chance to look them over?
Yes.
And are you comfortable with going ahead and voting on them?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. So do we, any changes that anyone saw? All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll note that I wasn't at that meeting, so I'm not voting.
Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
I'll second.
A second? All right. All in favor? Right hand, please. All right. And they pass. All right. Monthly reports. We're talking about money more than anything else here. So we'll turn this over to Jacob.
I'll give Martin just a second to pull it up on the big screen. So, good afternoon, Tirz Board. My name is Jacob Bogish. I am the Finance Compliance Coordinator here at the City of Kerrville, and today I'll be going through the Tirz financial report through August 5th. Okay, jumping into your cash flow, you began the year with $641,190. Your property tax increment collected through August 5th was $324,844. And then your interest revenue to date is $26,929. This brings your total revenue through August 5th to $351,773. And then you also had $25 worth of expenditures. This brings your updated fund balance through August 5th to $992,938. And then I just wanted to note that the TDA DRP grant funding that was approved by y'all back in March is not shown in this cash flow, but that is because city staff are pretty certain that that's not going to happen during this physical year. It'll happen next physical year, and therefore we put it in next physical year's budget.
Right thing to do.
And then here's just another look of what I just recapped. And then I'm here if y'all have any questions.
Anybody? Anything? Everybody good? Okay. All right. Then our next financial report. Do you have another one for us? Is that
We'll let Kelly go first and then we'll do budget.
okay? Okay.
That way
Okay.
you have full consideration.
All right. That sounds good. Kelly?
Kelly Hagemeyer, Economic Development Manager. First, I was going to talk to y'all about Main Street Advisory Board, but we did not meet last month. We're going to meet next week. Just to give y'all an update of kind of where we are with Main Street, we are going to be discussing kind of our workflow, our plan, better understanding the purpose of the Main Street Advisory Board. Obviously, it's going to change a little bit about how we would, how we best see fit to support the businesses within Main Street, since it's a smaller boundary than Tirz. So not much to report out of there. Everything's kind of a little bit up in limbo right now of what our next steps are. But we have been reaching out to all the businesses within the Main Street Advisory Board uh, and also in the Tirz district. Just to give you a little bit of background of what I've been working on with Kerr together with Ms. Eichner and with KEDC. Shortly after the flood, we sent out, or Miss Judy sent out some realtors to go discuss with the businesses all throughout Kerr County to try to understand what immediate needs they had, what damages they had. So we're still compiling a lot of that information right now. We're reaching out. That is a lot of the information came from that where the chamber was able to give out grants to a lot of these businesses that had been affected. So that's where that information came from. So that wasn't just within the Tirz, that was throughout the entire county. And that was something that we were really grateful for, that the chamber board said yes to even going outside of who was a chamber member to be able to support those businesses. So outside of just what's going on Main Street, that is some stuff that we've been doing for the businesses in general. We are looking right now at doing a follow-up survey to see where businesses are now, because what we're realizing, it's not just the ones who were affected immediately. There have been other residual business effects with just decrease in people going out and spending money. We know that there were a lot of, complimentary and free meals available and still are. So a lot of the restaurants were hurting from that. The amount of, we were so blessed with so many donations from people, not just within the community, not just within the state, but also throughout the country. And so managing that, but then also seeing that some of the businesses have felt that effect because maybe they're not shopping as much. A lot of rental places, not just rental houses or hotels that were directly affected, but also just because people were canceling their plans. So we're just kind of taking all of this like one bite at a time, trying to better understand what the full effect is on our community. I'm reaching out to other communities that have been affected by floods to try to better understand different programs that they put into place, ways that they've helped their community. So we're going to have a discussion specifically with Main Street next week about what the best role for Main Street will be and what our plan moving forward.
What time is the meeting next week?
It's Wednesday at 9 a.m. upstairs.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Anything else?
Not unless you'll have questions about Main Street, and then we
Okay.
can discuss the facade grant
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
I think time is
Okay.
what they need, as well as,
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I have in front, so Ms. Eichner and I spoke last week. I know that I had come to y'all before about a facade grant before all of this happened. And so we discussed, is it still the most appropriate time to discuss a facade grant, or what are other options out there that we might be able to help? I'm still working on trying to understand other ways that we might be able to help, because a lot of the businesses are feeling, whether it's staffing or just the loss of income, and those aren't necessarily things that Tirz can use their funding for. So what are other options? So just a reminder, and I had Mr. Hayes to remind me exactly what Tirz funding can be used for, and it's financial needs, structural improvement, and enhanced infrastructure. These improvements usually are undertaken to promote the viability of existing businesses and to attract new commercial enterprises to the area. And then there was also a suggestion to review the Tirz ordinance and its financial and project plans, which I know we had discussed potentially doing a workshop at some time.
I provided that to them.
Oh, perfect. And so, just so that y'all are aware, the within the Tirz, we have 5 businesses that were directly affected by the flood. They're Glow Row, Kerrville Kayak and Canoes, Cottages by the River, the Lux Apartments, and Riverside Nature Center. Those are the 5 businesses that were directly affected within the Tirz. And so they have all been reached out to, and we have, they are working through their options with various financial assistance between insurance, FEMA, SBA, the chamber funds and grants and stuff like that.
Okay,
So
give us those 5 again. Glow Row,
Glow Row, Kerrville Kayak and Canoes, Cottages by the River, Lux Apartment, Riverside Nature Center.
And Glow Row is inside the Tirz?
Yes, it was parked. Yes, it was. Well,
Maybe-
maybe not because it's parked on the other
On
side.
the other side of the river.
Oh, so it's not
I'm not
within
trying
the
to-
Tirz. Okay.
I'm just
No,
trying to
no,
make sure I
no.
understand.
No, that makes sense. I was on the wrong side of the river.
Okay, so there's
So
4 in the
4.
Tirz.
so 4. Okay.
Yes. Kerrville Kayak and Canoes has a.
They're located on Broadway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The business that was impacted is probably in the park, but their location is on Broadway.
Yeah. So, looking at the facade grant, which I wasn't.
You say facade grant, but you're talking about a program for grants for facades.
Well, and we had discussed
Do
last
we have
time.
a specific facade grant is what I probably should have asked.
No, not yet. And that's what we were trying to figure out is originally this was something that we had discussed that would help businesses to offset costs, knowing that business owners, every penny counts. And so as we're looking at increasing tourism and getting people to come out, maybe helping these businesses with what the exterior of their business looks like, whether it be landscaping, parking lots, repainting, new windows, whatever it is that is visible to the public, maybe that would help also elevate the charm of the Tirz area and see if that might help some of these businesses.
Yeah, like what the
that are
new
feeling
owner
the
at
push.
at Sunrise Antiques just
Mhm.
did to the front of the building there. Something like that.
Exactly.
So a program that would offer those opportunities to business owners.
Yes.
Thanks.
Exactly. So I printed out in front of y'all, and I'm sorry I didn't have this to y'all before. We were kind of wondering how this conversation would go, or if this was something that y'all still felt was important, or if we wanted to have another meeting to discuss other avenues of funding that might be more impactful to the businesses. So so I changed it to exterior enhancement grant. We can always change that if y'all feel that it's necessary. And so enhancing the charm of Kerrville, encouraging the visual improvements and enhancement of facades, business signage, landscape, and parking lots for commercial, professional, and retail spaces. The purpose, an improvement and enhancement of facades, business signage, landscape. The program affects only building exteriors. Funding is based on reimbursable matching grant up to a maximum of $5,000 per business. And either the property owner or a renter or the tenant may apply. Then just the next slide or the next page is the just a reminder that the program affects only building exteriors. The design standards are meant to be flexible enough to allow business and property owners to be creative and design store frontage that market their establishments effectively. The funding source. Funding is based on matching reimbursement up to a maximum of $5,000 per business. Funding for businesses and buildings within the Tirz will be paid by Tirz, totaling 50. I was going to ask for 50,000. And we were originally going to approach the Kerr EDC regarding also being part of this grant, but as things have changed, I don't know if this is the most appropriate time to approach KEDC about doing the same program for businesses outside of the Tirz. So I think we may hold off on that for a little while, but I'm not saying it's ruled out. I just think we might need to wait a little bit longer until KEDC and Kerr together are better on their way and we have a better path forward with recovery. Next is program eligibility. Either the property owner or the business owner or tenant is eligible for funding. Property owners with multiple buildings or tenants, but they can apply, but dependent on, that can be up to the committee and how we disperse that money. If the same building, if one person or one entity owns multiple buildings throughout town, what does that look like? Or if they have one building with multiple tenants, what does that look like? So I think that would be up to the discretion of the committee to better to look at all the applications as a whole and to see what would be best for the full Tirz community. Then program criteria. Projects are reviewed on a competitive basis and an assessment standard, which you can find in your last page, outlining the ratings criteria by which each submitted project is assessed. Those projects with the highest weighted average will be granted funding. Applicants must be ready to begin actual construction within 90 days of approval, which is the award notice that we would be sending out. Then on to reimbursable expenditures. Should the project and contractor receive approval from the board, the applicant is responsible for paying any additional costs incurred on behalf of the project. The City of Kerrville will issue a deposit check not to exceed $2,500, but that is something that we can change if we just want to make it completely reimbursable. There was some question if we wanted to put some money up front or if we just wanted to wait until the project was completed. So that is something that we can take into consideration. Then on to qualifying expenditures. Building facades, painting, cleaning, window repairs or replacements, doorways, lighting, new signage, window tint, awning replacement, permanent landscaping, parking lots, patio seating, and even dumpster enclosures we would like to include. And whatever is chosen as the project for the grant, they must first go to development services and it must be approved first before we send out a certificate saying that they have been accepted into this grant program. And then the next couple of pages just kind of explain the application and the permits. And then if we go to I think page 11, this is a nice little checklist explaining what what we would expect from applicants. So attending a pre-application meeting with city staff, which would be development services, complete visual improvements program application with the agreement, submit an online or illustration of proposed improvements, certification of ownership, or if you're the tenant, a letter from the property owner saying that they do approve whatever improvements you are suggesting, proof of insurance for the contractor that that the entity or the business would be using, proof of a contractor's license, and then photos of the improvement area of which how it looks now, so that we can see that versus whatever renderings they have. And then your last page is the assessment standards, which the committee would look at as we do our scoring. So professional quality of design, consistency of design with business activity, design guidelines and surrounding commercial structures. Proposed improvements are sufficient to improve the aesthetics of the structure site. An improvement of property will significantly impact the revitalization efforts of the city. And then, is Martin in the back? Okay, thank you, Martin. So this is the packet, and we can edit it however needed. This is the packet of which those businesses that would be considering, they would read this and to better understand what qualifies. And then here on your screen is the online application that we would use. So first page would just be, this is what this grant is. Then they would go to start now. And then the date of which they are submitting, the applicant's name, phone number, email, contact information, name of the business address, and I can change that to say must be within the Tirz, since it seems like we're going to be adjusting that now. The owner of the property owner's mailing address, and their phone number, just so that we can double check and verify if it's just a tenant applying. And then business name, if they know of any other businesses on the property that might be applying for this grant, and listing those. Description of the improvements they would like to make, what the total amount of the project is. So it's a $5,000 max matching grant. So obviously, if the 50% is less than that, we don't have to do the full $5,000. How much they're requesting, estimated start date, as we said, preferably within 90 days of receiving the letter. How much time they feel it will take to complete this, and also saying that 1 year from the funding approval, we feel that that should be sufficient enough time. And then just giving them a checklist, as we said before, of everything that they would need. And I can't remember, are the 3 bids definitely, is that something that would have to be, so we could potentially remove that? Not to the contractor? Okay, that was one thing that was in question, is if we needed the 3 bids. And just some wording, understanding that what the scope of work is, that this is how the money needs to be used, and that the city of Kerrville reserves the right to reject any and all application at sole discretion. And then they would just submit that. We could have a deadline. We were thinking originally potentially doing like end of October. Given the current bill, we should do a deadline that is further down the road than that. So that is all I have. Questions? Yes, sir.
The $50,000 on Page 6, that's an annual amount, so we'd be committing to up to $50,000 a year as the Tirz board.
Yeah, and so we did discuss that internally. We could keep just $50,000 in the account. So say that this fiscal year we don't use all 50 and we only use 30. So maybe next year I just come back and say, can we just replenish up to $30,000 and just keep $50,000 each year in that bucket? Or we can say $50,000 each year, but given that it's just the Tirz area, I think requesting 50,000 each year might be more than what we need, but we can also see how
Right,
much.
but we're committing up to $50,000 every year. If we
Yes,
got
sir.
10 applications that we approved every year, that would be $50,000.
Yes, sir.
That for the maximum amount.
Yes.
So that's the maximum that but it's an annual commitment.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have several questions.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So it sounds like, and some of it's just for clarification, that you are wanting to put out like an RFP to the community,
Yes.
and then so you're starting
Wait, in
to
RFP? Wait, in
like-
what way?
not necessarily request for proposals, but you're putting it out there. Are you gonna put like a time frame for people to turn? Because you were referencing like October.
Yeah, and
Because so like what he's saying, there's $50,000. What if someone comes in at the tail end of it? Is it okay? You need to reapply. You need to apply the next year. Is there a cutoff to apply? Or
Yeah,
can you
and-
elaborate on that a little
yeah,
bit?
so we were thinking about having an application deadline. Maybe it is the October 31st, and then any applications after that, we could say that they're on a wait list if there do happen to be funds left over, or they have to wait until the following year for funding to be available.
Okay.
So we think we're going to get so many requests that we need a deadline?
It was a suggestion that to not have a rolling application. Whenever I looked at other cities that do improvement grants like this, most of them had a set deadline so that they could look at all the proposals so that a committee could look at all the proposals at once.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what if someone has already started improvements? Can they submit? This is all, we're going to do improvements. What if someone has already been proactive and are they just, sorry, so sad?
I
you
guess
can't-
that would be up to the committee because I know whenever we were discussing with council about 380 agreements, that is something that currently is in if a permit's already been pulled, that they were not eligible for a 380 agreement.
That's usually how it works.
Okay. And then, sorry, I apologize.
No, keep
Uh,
going. We've all got questions.
When you were speaking about the providing them the funds, issuing the deposit check not to exceed $2,500, and this is just my opinion, that the award letter serves as funding, and so since it is cost reimbursable, I understand that to some extent it is a cash flow issue maybe for some businesses, but and I might have missed it, but then what is their time frame to turn in receipts? I saw the time frame for work completed, but what is the time frame to turn in the receipt? So maybe they estimated it's $4,000, but it was $4,700.
For turning in receipts, it would be whenever so it would have to be within that next year, but I'm assuming if we're giving the money up front, that would probably cause some other issues.
Yep,
So
I
I'm
understand.
gonna, having done,
Mhm.
having some grant background, I would suggest maybe not to do that. And they present all their expenses then at the end, and then you can just give them.
So
their
not
funding
doing,
at the
yeah,
end.
because some of the other cities that had done this, it was kind of split 50-50 if they gave money up front or if it was just completely reimbursable.
And then my last question is on the permits and fees, and it's just because what we're seeing with the county that they're waiving or reducing some of their permits, is that gonna be entertained by development services?
Yes, we had discussed waiving those fees, but given our current circumstances, I feel that that may not be the case anymore.
Could that be part of the project expense?
We can make it part of the project expense.
And when we started looking at, max, as far as the match, a max of $10,000. The permit fee on $5,000 project is $55 to $150. So permit fees on that small of a project are not that high. Now you go to brand new construction, the total permit fee is big, but we can only reimburse based on or waive the fees on what we're reimbursing. So it's still that small threshold. But I think including that in the project expense would be fine.
Thank you.
And I had some more.
Mhm.
That's all right. It's all good. In the process, it mentions that it needs to be in before the EIC is meeting.
That was originally whenever
Okay,
we
so that's
thought
not-
that the EIC, and so we're gonna be taking that portion
so that-
out.
So all the references to the EIC throughout this document
Yeah.
go away. Okay.
Yeah, and
That's all right.
even the information about the Kerr EDC. Sorry, I've been a little distracted. I haven't.
And then I agree
This
with,
was all pre-July 4th, so I'm trying to remember all my
Right.
conversations.
all good. And I agree with Crystal. I don't, the 3-bid idea to me doesn't ring. To me, it's a reimbursement. We're talking about $5,000.
Mhm.
A business that can't afford to front $5,000 and wait for reimbursement till they have their receipts probably isn't one we want to be given $5,000 to. That's my opinion. So
Okay, so
I would say it's a reimbursement. It's a
Mhm.
match on money spent. Right? Isn't that what you were trying to say, Crystal?
Well, yeah, because they're saying it's a matching reimbursement,
Right.
but so you need to show that you spent.
So we don't need the bids, we need the receipts.
Right.
Here's the money, the program needs to be in the program.
Mhm.
And then at the end, or once they meet $10,000, bring in some receipts and we'll give you $5,000 back.
Right. Because we all know bids
Or we'll
aren't
give-
what's actually expended.
Right.
Mhm.
And we need to know the work's actually done.
Yes.
You can't give them a check before the work's completed.
I'll be
And-
sure.
And development services or building is happy with it,
Mhm.
right? We can't be giving money out and then find out that Aaron won't give them a CO.
I think from an internal standpoint, it's a procurement issue, and I think that's what she was referring to, so. Because we have to do that internally, it's a separate, from a procurement standpoint, we're required to do that, so I think she was just adding that to the
To
process.
do the bid?
Yeah, we have to, internally, but it's not gonna apply to this.
Okay,
Because
all
the
right.
city's not doing the project, so.
Right, because they're not, right, we're just reimbursing someone for the money.
Yeah,
Right,
I think
okay.
that's what she was thinking.
Those were all my questions, Judy.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good. Crystal, anything
Crystal did a
else?
great
No,
job.
I'm sorry. No.
That's what you're here for, is to ask questions. All right, this side, anything that hasn't been answered?
No, I think you covered my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good.
Andrew,
Thank you all.
Good, okay, all right. Okay, this is good, interesting, good
Mhm.
stuff, what we needed. And, okay, so it really comes down to, are we ready to put this in place? Or is it better if we wait till the first of the year?
Well, I would make a motion that the deadline be the first of the year rather than October. I think October's too soon, but I would say that you want to consider this as a available option for businesses in the Tirz. And so So with that comment, I would make a motion that with a deadline middle of January
Okay.
of 2026, that you all would start a program, the Tirz would start a program consistent with this.
Do we have a window, like a start date and end date? So we have a deadline, but when does
Well,
it
12
open?
months after.
Yeah, 12 months
Months
from
after
f-
approval.
mhm,
Okay. So if it ends in January, we're starting
mhm.
the process back up. Perfect.
I second Bruce's motion, if you formally made a motion.
Any other comments? Any questions? All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, right hand, please. And it passes.
Wonderful. Thank you all so
Okay.
much. And for the December meeting, I can rebrief y'all on this with all of the changes
That would
that we
be
made
good.
if there's anything else.
Super.
Okay, thank
Super.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Kelly.
Sorry.
That's all right.
October 1? Okay.
We should all say thank you. Kelly's had just a few other things on her plate,
Just a
so
few.
this is good. Thank you, thank you.
She's been busy at all.
All right, and we are ready for our budget.
Okay, so we're gonna obviously have a modification to your budget, and based on your, motion a moment ago, we'll have to put together a funding agreement, for you, so we'll work with Mike. My question would be if the board is wanting to do, y'all talked about multi-year, what does that look like? So we'll have to talk through that, is it a 1-year funding of 50,000? How does that look like? So if you want us to put some stuff together and send it to you, but are
Why
you
don't-
talking about
why don't-
1 year, 3-year? Any ideas on that?
Is that okay with you guys? Would that be
Yes.
fine
Yeah.
to have them put that together and
we'll,
send it to
we'll
us?
work on that and then get that to you because we'll have to put that together for council to approve. Okay, so we'll talk about your 26 proposed budget. A lot of little nuances in this one that we wouldn't ordinarily have to talk about. Just a few notes on the 26 citywide proposed budget. So very conservative revenue assumptions given what we're dealing with right now. Heavy emphasis on flood response and recovery, which are not expenses that we put in the budget, but just considerations as we were really rapidly shifting, finalizing the budget in the last few weeks from what our original plans were. Do have a continued focus on citywide assets. Really committed to finishing up a lot of the CIP projects that we have in place, but we didn't make a lot of adjustments and add any large CIP projects going into 26, given the amount of repair and rebuild that we feel like we're going to be doing over the next year or two. We shifted some revenue generating departments to self-supporting business type. So, for example, Kerbal Shriner Park and golf, we've shifted them into business type funds so that there's less supplementation coming from the general fund and property taxpayers for fee-based parks. So just some big things that we've done there. So I'll give you a little bit of information on your certified roll comparison. So your base value in 2019 was about 97.5 million, and your current value is about 160 million. So just to give you an idea of what the growth has been from the base year to the current time. The biggest increase this past year was in single-family resident value, some commercial value, and we did have some increases in exempt value. I believe the county purchased some property within the Tirz over the last few years, and depending on when they purchased it, depends on when it hit the roll. You do see a big jump there in new value, and I'm trying to get some more breakdown from Kirkad on exactly what created that. Last year we had about $500,000, and this year we've got about 1.2 million in new value. So that's a good thing. Exactly where that value is, I don't have the answers to that. I have some ideas, but until I see that,
Would
I'll be
one of
curious
your
to see.
ideas be Lennar?
No, not in the Tirz.
No.
No, not in the Tirz. In the city, we had
Oh, that's right.
71
I'm sorry.
million
This is
in new
Tirz.
value,
I'm-
and that was heavily
Okay.
Lennar and Comanche Trace. So when I have that information, I'll provide it to you. It's not, of vital importance. It's just always interesting to track where the growth is coming from. So still have a few unsettled protests. This was as of July 25th. There were 11, about 4.5 million still unsettled. So they did have enough to certify, so it shouldn't be major implications as those get settled.
So this is just historical property tax revenue, and you can see, year one, about 23,000, and then in FY '25, we expect you to be about $340,000 in revenue. And remember that the Tirz receives the increment on the growth in value. So we're calculating and receiving revenue on the difference between the base value and the current value. So that's what you're collecting taxes on. So we did have some shifts in the way we calculated property tax this year. So typically, I'll take the levy at multiple tax rates and figure out, based on that, we use about a 98.5 or 99% collection rate because our property tax collections are really strong within the city and the county. Given the fact that this event happened on July 4th and property owners have 105 days from the date of declaration to claim an exemption for lost value for damages that they assess from the flood. We're basically working off a certified tax roll without any adjustments being made to that value for the disaster declaration or exemptions that we could potentially see. So we reduced our collection rate citywide to 97.5% instead of 99, just giving us a little bit of cushion to say, maybe some people could have a little harder time paying taxes this year. We really anticipate maybe having more half pays and things like that. And then Kirkad did an estimated loss value based on a number of factors. And so I believe it's a little bit high, but I think with asking them to do a calculation in 2 weeks post-event, it's kind of hard to say. But either way, we used their number, and then we reduced property tax revenue by the impact of that lost value on the rate. So a lot of unknowns. So I'm going to say that your revenue budget is very conservative on property tax. I fully hope, if we did our calculations right, that your property tax will come back a little bit higher than I'm telling you that it will be, but I'd rather tell you this is super conservative based on what we know. And probably, I would say for sure at our December meeting, I'll be able to give you an updated roll with the lost values after the exemptions were filed and do a recalculation and be able to tell you what I really think it's going to be. So a lot of unknowns right now. So your committed or your projects that you guys have paid for in the past, the CDBG grant for downtown revitalization, $52,500, the clay and water intersection that was ADA accessibility for $40,000, the downtown comp plan that you were heavily involved in this time last year for $50,000, and then the unknown is the TDA grant that we're still working through. Y'all had earmarked $100,000 for that. We are certain that's not going to be spent this year. So we went ahead and rolled that over into your budget next year, and we'll leave it earmarked until we have more information about that. So maybe by December, we'll have some better information on whether that's going to go or not go. And if it doesn't, then we can reallocate those funds somewhere else. So looking at your budget, minus the $50,000 that you guys just approved, and that will be included when you see your final budget that goes before council. Property tax revenue, about $303,000. You can see that's less than it was this year by about $30,000. Again, unknown. And so in December, I'll be able to give you an update to where I feel like y'all will actually fall. We did have a little bit of office supply expense this year, so we just plugged a little bit of dollars there in case you guys needed something. There's the project contribution for the TDA grant of $100,000. And so even that, you still have a net revenue of over $200,000, even with the reduction in property tax. So that's, of course, you have the authority to approve projects throughout the year. Your budget is a little bit different than working in a general fund budget. So, if projects are approved throughout the year, then we'll adjust your cash flow, which I gave you a copy of on your place. I've done a cash flow out to 2037 for you so you can see, just based on conservative growth, what your fund balance would look like over time. So questions on that? I know it's simple, but again, we'll have a better idea on property tax revenue after we get those exemptions filed. If this event had happened in February or March, it would have given us plenty of time to get a true certified roll with those exemptions accounted for.
You have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
There was a significant construction project on Water Street that went from a lot value of about $30,000 to finished construction value of over $900,000. That's probably a bulk of.
Yeah, Jacob and I were looking at that one. We were trying to see when the completion date was. So was it on the roll last year or not? Because
it's not. I just looked
okay,
at it. I'm looking
you
at,
did. Okay,
I'm looking at it right now.
We were looking at it earlier today.
2024 for the real value, and just for 2025, the proposed value is $917,000.
So there's some of it, yeah. Okay, yeah, we were looking at a couple of different places that we had ideas on. I just didn't want to.
That's the one that jumped at me when you said that.
Yeah, there was another one, there's another one in my mind too that I'm looking at. I didn't want to be wrong, so. But Kirkad usually will provide that. If I ask her for a list of new values, she'll provide that. So, it's, again, to me, it's just collecting data. So we try to store that information so that if someone asks what's driving these increases, we know the answer. So.
And they started working on Mary's Tacos new site, so
I saw
that'll help
that.
us for next year.
I saw that. Well, depends on if you finish it by January.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So,
Yeah.
you get it finished by
It'll be
January, yes.
2027.
It will have a
It won't be done by
frost
December.
bank next year as well.
Yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
that one's just starting.
Correct. And so I haven't taken those projects into consideration since they're
Those will
still
be-
starting, but that will change our growth estimate on property
Yeah,
tax.
that's all good.
Size.
So,
All right, anything else,
Yeah.
you guys? Any other questions for them?
yeah, true.
We've got some money there that, we can be using. So, okay, I don't believe we need to go into executive session for anything. And action items, out of what we've discussed, I think we'll have this, our grant moving forward, in time. And, I do have, for all of you, I have a strange assignment.
Judy, not to back you up for a second, but could we get a motion on the budget so that I can?
Okay, sure, yes. Do we have?
I would make a motion that we modify the budget for the $50,000 for the grant program, and with that change, approve it.
We have a second? Any comments, questions? All in favor, right hand, and it passes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. All right, my kind of crazy assignment for you is, we talk about the Tirz, we've got a map, it shows us, and you guys know where the boundaries are. But my assignment is, I would like for each of you to walk the boundary of the Tirz. I want you to walk the boundary. You have now, between now and the next meeting, take notes, take pictures. You can drive it, but I want you to walk it because you see things differently when you walk. Sidewalks.
I write it down every meeting.
That's part of it. And so where do we need those? What can we do on the boundary? Now, I would love to ask you to walk the inside of it, and you can do that. But primarily, I want you to feel more what the boundary is, because we all say we know, but it's different when you walk down the sidewalks or no
No
sidewalks.
sidewalks, yeah.
So
sure.
if you would do that. So make notes, and then I would like you to come back at our next meeting with a suggestion of a project. And it may be sidewalks. You may all come back and say sidewalks. And it may be something else that we've talked about, that's been talked about in the past, and it may be something new. So, do you all have a good copy of what kind of projects we can do? Are you good there? Okay, all right. Do you all have the downtown revitalization or the downtown plan? Okay, so that's good to look at what's in there, what might apply to this, and what might give you ideas. Okay, so and I'm going to do the same thing. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but it's different when you walk it. And make those notes of, hey, we need this here, we could use this here, and so bring those back and we'll talk about them.
When is our next meeting?
Probably be December.
Y'all, my term is up in October. We have to meet before then.
What?
My term is up in October, I believe, right?
See, I wasn't sure. We've got to check
I'm not
as
certain.
to,
I'll check and see what the.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
but you can come back and
Oh, I
talk
sure
with us.
will. I sure will. Me and my sidewalks.
I was gonna say a sign, your sidewalk.
Yeah.
Your sidewalks.
Yeah. So do that for me, or for yourselves, really. Let's see what comes back besides sidewalks.
Okay.
Okay? All right, anything else from anybody? Comments? Last minute questions? All right, thank you all for being here. Happy walking. Thank you guys for all that you're doing. We appreciate it. Oh, yes, we are adjourned at 3:57.